Islam Makhachev, the Russian mixed martial artist who's taking the lightweight division by storm.
Big left hand.
Islam Makhachev. Knockdown for Makhachev.
With a background in Sambo, he seamlessly transitioned to MMA, with many UFC fans calling him the next Khabib. Let's quickly dive into his background. Makhachev was born in Dagestan, Russia on October 27, 1991. He stands at 5 foot 10 inches and weighs 155 pounds. After moving from the city, he grew up in the remote village of Barushi. Here, local kids thought the city boys were weak, so he would often have to fight. Living in a village meant that Makhachev had plenty of exercise as he grew up, including carrying stone up mountains, construction work, and catering to livestock. Makhachev and Khabib Nurmagomedov were neighbors here, and they became close friends. At age 15, Makhachev grew curious about fighting after seeing Nurmagomedov's father training Khabib. That's when he started training in Sambo. In the 2016 World Combat Sambo Championship, he won a gold medal, defeating Valentin Beneshev of Bulgaria in the final match. Now let's briefly go over his early MMA career. Makhachev made his M1 global debut against Tengiz Chichua on the 12th of February 2011 and won the fight via KO in the first round. After defeating Mansour Barnoui via unanimous decision, he would face undefeated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt Rander Juno. He once again won via unanimous decision. He finished off his M1 career with submission wins against Yuri Ilev and Ivica Trusik, now first time in the UFC. In October of 2014, Makhachev signed a 4-fight contract with the UFC. His debut would come the following May at UFC 187. He impressed the MMA world after submitting Leo Kuntz in the second round. Though in his next fight, this happened.
Big shot by Martins. It is all over.
Adriano Martins delivered Makhachev his first and only professional loss to date. His next scheduled fight drummed up some major controversy, but we'll talk about that later. His next 2 fights were won via unanimous decision. The first being against Chris Wade at UFC Fight Night 94, and the second versus Nick Lentz at UFC 208. After pulling out of UFC Fight Night 115, he would next fight Gleison Tibau at UFC 220. He faked a right hand, then came right behind it with a left that was on the button and dropped Tibau to the canvas. After nearly a year away from the cage, his first knockout came in just 57 seconds. And later that summer, he made Kajan Johnson tap at UFC on Fox 30. In 2019, he faced Arman Sarukian and Davi Ramos, winning both bouts via unanimous decision. He got off to a great start in 2021 at UFC 259. The rising UFC lightweight contender put on a clinic outclassing Drew Dober, forcing him to submit at the 1 minute 37 mark of round 3 with an arm triangle choke. This earned him his first main event, as he faced Thiago Moises at UFC on ESPN 26. Makhachev put in a working man's performance. He locked in the choke and forced the tap to extend his winning streak to 8. After Rafael dos Santos pulled out of UFC 267, Makhachev took down his replacement, Dan Hooker, via Kimura submission in the first round. During his post-fight interview, he made his intentions for his next outing loud and clear.
How many fights? 9? I'm ready for title fight.
1 year later, he would get his wish at UFC 280. In the second round, Makhachev dropped Charles Oliveira with a punch, hopped into mount, and squeezed. An arm triangle choke resulted in a quick tap and a new lightweight champion of the world, though his next fight would be the biggest of his career. Islam Makhachev walked into one of the most intense atmospheres in UFC history, in front of a rowdy arena full of passionate fans who cheered on his opponent, Alexander Volkanovski. UFC 284 matched the number 1 and number 2 pound-for-pound fighters in the world against each other. A back-and-forth bout left experts and fans alike unsure of exactly which way the judges would lean. Makhachev's name was announced, and his winning streak was extended to 12, simultaneously handing Volkanovski his first loss in the UFC. Now, let's take a look at his contracts and earnings. Makhachev is one of the UFC's highest paid fighters, but it wasn't always like that. His first fight would only net him $10,000 and another $10K as a win bonus. His paydays would steadily increase until he earned his first main event. He walked away from his bout with Thiago Moises with another $186,000 in his pocket. His base salary then increased to $100,000 for his fights against Dan Hooker and Bobby Green. Including win bonuses and sponsorships, he made $211,000 for each of those fights. But that's nothing compared to what he made against Charles Oliveira. He had a base pay of $500,000, and after winning, he was awarded $150,000 as a bonus. After factoring in sponsorships and pay-per-view shares, he made $1,030,000 from that one fight. And he made even more when he fought Volkanovski. Makhachev earned $500,000 for showing up, another $500K in pay-per-view buyouts, $100K as a win bonus, $50K as a prize bonus, and $42,000 in sponsorship deals, bringing his total fight earnings to $1,192,000. Time to talk about his personal life. And real quick, if you like this video, hit the subscribe button and tell us in the comment section which fighter we should cover next. Makhachev has been seen driving a G-Wagon which goes for $140,000. Islam Makhachev got married in 2021, but the ceremony was kept private. He trains out of American Kickboxing Academy in San Jose, California, alongside former champions Nurmagomedov and Daniel Cormier. Khabib Nurmagomedov has supported Makhachev throughout his career, be it acting as a translator or becoming Makhachev's trainer after his own retirement. Team Khabib spent nearly $1 million to prepare Islam for UFC 280. Luckily, it paid off in the end. 1 month later, Makhachev was awarded the Order for Merit to the Republic of Dagestan for his achievement in martial arts. Now let's talk about some moments that caused some waves in his career. Makhachev was expected to face Drew Dober at UFC on Fox 19. After the weigh-ins, the UFC announced that Makhachev had failed an out-of-competition drug screening, testing positive for meldonium, which is banned. Ultimately, the match was canceled. And in 2020, he was scheduled to face Alexander Hernandez at UFC 249. However, Makhachev was removed from the card due to COVID travel restrictions, and he was replaced by Omar Morales, though his biggest scandal came after defeating Volkanovski. UFC lightweight Dan Hooker accused Makhachev of illegally using an IV drip to rehydrate after cutting weight. Using an IV drip to rehydrate was previously commonplace in combat sports, but was banned in the UFC in October 2015. Makhachev was eventually cleared of any wrongdoing. Now, at this point, you must be excited to hear about his career earnings. Makhachev's paydays continue to rise, so we're sure his net worth will rise as well. Having said that, his total career earnings to date are $3,348,000, and he's amassed a total net worth of $2 million.